Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday again, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. I have pinned my bangs back. I've had them for 12 years now, and I've decided that's enough time with hair in my face, so we're doing this now. This week in WoW news, we have official, for realsies this time, not being pranked, fingers crossed, word on the new Season 2 Mythic Plus affix. It is called Tormented, and the way it works, there are basically 4 big mobs. I would think that mini boss is too strong of a term. 4 big mobs throughout every dungeon. They are 4 specific mobs. They each have a name. They each have a thing. It's going to be the same 4 every time you do a key that is 10 or higher in Season 2. Each one has a couple of abilities, and each one has a thing, like an aura. When you defeat one, everyone in the group gets to choose an anima power from a preset selection of 3 depending on which boss it was and which role you are. Based on early reporting, there's no RNG there. It's going to be the same 3 options for every role per boss. So that's kind of nice so that you're not worrying about bad power RNG ruining your Mythic Plus timer. So by the time you get to the end, you've assembled 4 extra powers to use. If you do not kill all 4 mini bosses before the end of the dungeon, their aura will be active during the last boss fight. And the auras kind of suck. One of them reduces healing taken, one of them is just a constant dot, one of them is 50% movement speed reduction. They're ugly, so you're probably going to want to do them. They will be a little bit out of the way, so this is probably going to change routes. Also, skipping them means that you forfeit the power that you would have gotten had you killed it. Overall, I think this sounds like a great time. I'm very much excited for this. It sounds like a fun change from Prideful. I think that it's going to shake up routes, which is good. I think that's something you want between seasons, but make them a little bit less persnickety than the Prideful routes, because, you know, with Prideful, you pulled one mob at a turn, and then all of a sudden you're spawning your Prideful in the wrong spot, then you have your buff for nothing, and then everybody's crying. Not crying as in whining, crying as in actual tears onto their keyboards, and that's just, you know, dangerous for the circuits. I haven't tested this myself yet. I am saving that, I think, for when Season 2 actually rolls around, but I'm just so excited to get back into doing keys and working on the next Keystone Master, even if it's going to take more dungeons. I missed them, and they're a lot of fun. I've done a couple of my alt recently, and I forgot how much fun keys can be. Other things this week, Blizzard put out a little blog post kind of recapping how we're going to get flying in patch 9.1, and it had some mildly unexpected wording in it. So this isn't brand new news. We already knew there was going to be no reputations and no Pathfinder achievement to unlock flying in Shadowlands. Instead, you need to get to Renown 44. Final answer is 44, and that's going to be available on the 2nd week of patch 9.1, so quite early. And you need to complete the last sigil storyline of the new campaign. And then the next line was a little bit odd to me. It says, this consumable item allows all characters on your account to purchase the riding skill needed to fly within the 4 Shadowlands main zones. Purchase? I don't know what that's about. Perhaps I've missed something, but that's news to me, and it doesn't seem like that's whatever that is in on the PTR, if in fact that's an actual thing and not just like a weird typo or unfortunate choice of words. If it is in fact going to become available to purchase on your characters once we've unlocked it, that begs the question of for what? What do you want? You want gold? You want anima? Ethereal pomegranates? Chaos orbs? Like, what's the deal? So I'm crossing my fingers that that's just a weird sentence that we can all just forget happened, and then in 9.1 you unlock flying and then all your characters have it. But that aside, I am really excited for that. I'm glad it's very early in the patch. I'm glad we don't have to wait until like halfway through the new Renown grind. I think that having flying is going to make grinding anima and therefore cosmetics on other covenants like a lot more palatable. I'm looking forward to having flying and doing world quests. And then treasure collecting is another big one. There's a lot of stuff that I could loot in like Maldraxxus or Ardenweald if I just found the right bouncy mushroom or grapple point or whatever, and I'm just gonna wait. Other news from this week, a couple of updates from the 9.1 PTR. Soul Cinders, which is the new Torghast currency you're going to get from floors 9 through 12 and use to upgrade your legendaries past rank 4, can also be used to purchase the socket items. That's not the only way to get the socket items. They are generally available for cataloged research, which is part of a new reputation and outdoor grind, but I'm really excited to see a second way to buy them. Because for cataloged research, I probably wasn't going to bother. You get cataloged research by turning in relic fragments that you get from like looting treasures, and I probably wasn't going to grind that beyond like the bare minimum needed. So that didn't sound like a fun long-term ongoing grind to me. But Torghast, I'm down for any excuse to continue doing Torghast after I got my legendary, just because it's really fun on Holy Priest, but then if you play a spec that Torghast isn't fun on, then you don't have to. But like, I might actually get sockets next patch. People aren't going to be doing this right away because at first you're going to want those Soul Cinders to upgrade your legendary past rank 4, but it's nice to see them thinking about the mid-patch before the mid-patch is here. That's lovely. The other nice thing from the 9.1 PTR this week is an adjustment to the new Torghast scoring system. Previously, there was this Guitar Hero style of on-fire hot streak situation going on where you could get more score for limited times and it kind of promoted rushing. They have rethought that one and said that that bar now will no longer decay over time. And instead what it's going to be is it's something that you build up with your actions, you know, killing stuff, breaking jars, whatever. And then you can spend it whenever you want with a button for a buff that's got a duration based on the amount of bar that you filled up. So no more decay, and you no longer have to worry about it proccing at an awkward time. You just save it up and then use it when you want it. I think that's fantastic. It takes the time pressure right out of the equation. And once again, I'm glad this is a change that was made now, before the patch came out, as opposed to, you know, like 4 weeks into it, because that's a world we've all lived through where the nice quality of life changes happen like after people are already kind of done with the system. So delighted to see that going in while it's still in PTR. And then as far as what I've been up to this week, I did a puzzle. I put on clothes and then took them off again and then put on different clothes. Oh, actually, speaking of clothes, for the first time in my life, I went to a tailor to get some clothes altered. I took a dress and a pair of shorts that didn't quite fit me into a tailor to get them altered. Just to have that as a thing that I've done, like an experience to put in my life bank, so that when I die, I did a list of things that includes going to a tailor. I don't know. People always just say that it's like life-changing once you start to do it, so I figured I would try. And questions for this week. Sean wants to know, when Sanctum releases, will you be doing the raid more and pushing more Mythic in your videos? So I am planning on having another set of heroic / normal raid guides like normal for Sanctum and Domination. Those will be out before the raid goes out. There will also be a boss guide for the new Tazavesh dungeon. I have no plans to do Mythic raiding or Mythic raid guides, if that's what you're asking. This one comes up relatively often, and at the end of the day, just right now, I don't want to raid Mythic because the cost benefit just doesn't really check out. Like what it offers me, which would probably be some amount of prestige and higher item level gear, just isn't worth the extra amount that I would have to try, and, you know, also finding a Mythic raiding group, and then it's just like the strict character limit within the raid where you can only have 20 people, so you want to have a bench so that you can always field 20, but then somebody doesn't get to go. That's fine for Mythic. I just would rather raid Heroic and then not have to worry about that and just kind of like show up and do whatever my best is for that day and have that be okay. I also currently enjoy a relatively short raiding season where my guild will clear normal and then clear Heroic, farm it a couple times, and then we take a break for the next tier, which gives me time to enjoy the raid, to spend time with my friends, but then also time to pursue other WoW projects and do other things. I kind of like having the on-season and the off-season, and I think that even though that is a possibility with Mythic raiding, especially if patches are going to be this long, the on-season would go on for quite a bit longer, especially if I was only going to raid a couple hours a week like I do currently. And RC Cobb asks, going to paraphrase a little bit, I've been working on leveling up legendary base item recipes to sell. I have not played the auction house heavily before. Is it worth learning to use TSM? I don't want to spend all of my time at the auction house. So, yes, Trade Skill Master TSM is worth it, even if you don't use it to post things. That's the really labor-intensive part of learning and setting up TSM, is getting into posting operations, canceling operations, purchasing operations. You don't have to do any of that to get benefit out of it. You can, and it's helpful, especially if you're really, really getting into it. The point of Trade Skill Master is to save you time. It does things more quickly. Out of the box, without any of those operations, what TSM can do for you is show you the profit margin on different crafting recipes in your journal, as well as show you the cost of various materials and items in their tooltips. All you got to do for that is just install it. The really big, like 200 item, massive, like cancel and reset and posting scans meta of TSM has been greatly diminished by the changes they made to how often and quickly you're allowed to post stuff to the auction house in the first place. So I wouldn't worry about having to invest too much time into learning TSM, because the basic version is most of the benefit that's available now anyways, and that's definitely going to help you out over default UI. And that has been my week. Thank you very much for watching. If you have a question you would like me to answer, please leave it in the comments of the most recent news video and include the word question to help me find it. Stop by a stream sometime if you like, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye. When the aliens come down to Earth, and then they study the fact that aliens came down to Earth in history, you know, like 50 years later, there's gonna be like a chapter of the textbook that's like, how did the aliens know where to land? How did they know that there was people there? And then it's gonna be like, well, there was this girl, woman really, but you know, and she just kind of like looked up and she had so much face and it was so incandescently bright that it just like flagged down another civilization.